The Pioneer Football Show with head coach Jerry Odom. Complete coverage of Pioneer football. 2020 hindsight with coaches and player interviews, along with the numbers behind the scoreboard. The Pioneer Football Show with Pioneer coach Jerry Odom. Now, Brian Staten.
The Tusculum Pioneers and the Carson-Newman Eagles renew their history. It's the second oldest football series in the state of Tennessee. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Staten, joined by Pioneer coach Jerry Odom for our Pioneer Football Show. Tusculum and Carson-Newman renewing that series. It's the 48th edition and a 41-28 victory for the Pioneers this past Saturday. It's the largest win ever for the Pioneers in the modern era. It's their fifth win since 1998. And for this Pioneer football team, it keeps them with their title hopes still alive. Not in control of their own destiny, but you still have that life. And there's possibly other life as well. Yep. Coach, a Saturday game where the conditions were a typical late October East Tennessee Saturday. Yep. Not brilliant, not great, but Lorenzo Pratt showed up, the defense showed up, and you held a vaunted offense over the last 4 weeks to under, 280 yards rushing offense.
Well, I mean, yeah, that sounds awful. Yeah, early on they hit us with a couple things that really, took us away. It took us a little time to get adjusted to the speed of the game. They're very, very good at that offense, and it's one of those things where you know that they're going to make some plays. What you've got to do is get them on the ground, understand that you don't want to let them drive all the way down. They'll go for on fourth down at any time, as you saw. But you better have some kind of plan for fourth down and hopefully show them something they're not ready for. And I think we may have come out in a defense that they weren't expecting us to do, because it was different than we did the last two previous years. And but it wasn't anything that they probably hadn't seen at the same time, because it was a four-man front. It wasn't anything crazy. It was a lot of our base defense. We just did a few different nuances out of it. But I believe in my heart that they were prepared for it, and we just started getting to understand what they were trying to do to us, and we did a pretty good job most of the time. We weren't perfect. I mean, they missed some reads, we missed some things, but it was a good start. We battled. We didn't give anything up. We finished the game, which is something we've been beating our heads against the wall about doing, and found a way to win against a good football team. Good
football team that over the last 4 games have been averaging 49 points a game, had been also averaging almost 600 yards of total offense, with over almost 500 yards of that on the ground. The Tusculum Pioneers and the Carson-Newman Eagles, as we're take a look at some of these highlights, and we're going to start right from almost the very beginning, right after the kickoff. Antonio Wimbush was the best runner in the nation in yards per carry. Proves why just a little bit right here from the very beginning. And again, it seems like the speed of the game, this is what you're talking about, just kind of getting adjusted to what they do.
Well, we got reached on the first play. We talked about all week we can't get reached. We got reached. Our safety didn't do a very good job. Our linebacker got fit up by the tackle, and all of a sudden Wimbush, you give him that kind of room, 68 yards later or 65 yards later he's in. And it took him 5 plays after that, and we started settling down a little bit.
Right.
We kept we changed up a few things, wasn't anything crazy, but we tried to do a better job. They tried to throw the ball some early, and I felt like we played that a lot better early than we did late for whatever reason. It's not like we haven't gone over it 487 times.
Yeah.
But then we're able to get them to punt. I thought we did a good job on the punt team. Randy comes through, blocks a punt. Huge play in the game, sets us up on a short field. When you're playing in a game where the weather's like this, I think field position is a huge factor in the game. Come out right away with Shippy, slide back in. We're in a 12 personnel set, run a counter that we hadn't showed, really well blocked. Shippy hits the hole, gets vertical, good job blocking down there by BK, and we're able to get in for a score. Now all of a sudden the game's a little bit back on equal footing, and that was a big play in the game. Anytime you can block a punt or you win in special teams, you got a chance to win the game.
We'll tell you a lot more about our special teams coming up here in a moment. And this day, defensive end Nelson Luis has been a guy who's been emerging for the Pioneers. A huge role, 13 tackles including 4 behind the line of scrimmage and 2 sacks. And this is Ahmad Gandy on 4th down coming through with the big play.
Yeah, we put this this defense in on Thursday, and I walked through it once, and I called it, and we got lucky. I mean, it ended up working, but it was one of those things where I was like, man, I don't know if I should call this. We hadn't really practiced it, but it was something that we had to do against 4th down to take away quarterback sneak and dive and try to make them get to the next level with it and still be sound. But we were able to do that. And then our offense, getting that 4th down, they come out, and they're moving the ball pretty good. Initially, I think we got stopped maybe on 4th down here. No, I'm sorry. We tried to kick a long field goal. Win was against Joe. I probably should have gone for it here, but I figured I'd give him the opportunity in case he hit one good because he's got that kind of leg, but it just wasn't that kind of day.
All right, we're tied at 7 as Carson-Newman takes not necessarily the short field either, and they score here. And you're going to see that I believe there was a young man who might have been able to make the play on this particular. They may have scored a little bit later, but just shows you the physicality. They talk a lot about the Carson-Newman offensive line up front. And you can be really physical when you tackle a guy in the secondary.
It was a good block.
Good block.
I mean, that's
a pancake, right?
Yeah, well, it is what it is. It probably was a hold, but they didn't call it, so it's not a hold. I mean, I tell those guys, I don't want to hear you. Don't come off and talk to me about that kind of stuff. If you get held, that's your fault, and they didn't call it, so it's not a hold.
Great answer, though.
I mean, it's the truth.
Yep.
I mean, so we get it. They get wadded up a little bit. Pratt does a great job coming out the backside. They never really, from the other side, they never really had him hemmed up as well as I thought they might have when I first watched it. When I watched it on the end zone, you really break it down. Yeah. So that was a huge play to tie the game up. And then
just before the end of the half.
Right before the end of the half, no timeouts, and we just let this guy free. We're supposed to be double covering him. I don't know what happened. And they just kind of had a brain fart, and those are usually the type of things that lose you a football game. You score no time left, but give our kids credit. They never backed down. They kept fighting the whole time. Come back out. Offense comes out again. Pop, I felt like they just get us there. Lorenzo Maya broken a long one, kind of pulling down from behind, get us down to a 3rd and short, go to a 4-man surface on a trade, and then they come back, really good cut here, end up getting a 1st down. Again, Lorenzo ran hard all night. His family was there for the first time watching him play, and I think that was a little bit of an inspiration for him, but he's finally healthy too, and I think that helps also. Come back, we tried to get some funky sets. Have to step up. Our tight end's got to do a little bit better job blocking, but we end up getting a throw to Jake Moss on a little corner comeback and post corner right there, and a really good job. Then we come back out. I think when you're playing these guys, you have to change who your force players are. We trap covered this one right here. I think you have to constantly change who your force players are, and we saw that when they scored on that short one on the backside. Come back, trying to throw the football, really good job of coverage. They don't have anybody open. We bomber right there. Randy Hooks gets pressure on the guy, makes him throw it away. And again, like I said, I thought we covered well except for the 3 knucklehead plays that we had all day. They get a bad punt, high snap, bad punt. And so again, we get a short field, and we're able to take advantage.
So, yeah, Pioneer team defensively that you had to win 1st down, I think, as well. You did that much of the day, which is why they had to punt 5 times in that second half.
Right.
And you're getting 11 tackles behind the line of scrimmage on the day. And this guy just continues to impress as the game went on. 262 all-purpose yards, 151 rushing yards at 12 yards receiving, 99 yards of kickoff returns. I asked him after the game what happened on the second kickoff return. But this guy just had a banner day.
Yeah, he did. He's a good football player and a great person. He's been dinged up. That whole group is a good group, man. That running back group, they're unselfish, man. They're a bunch of unselfish guys. They care more about winning. They don't moan and groan about carries and things like that. Good job here. He gets run over there by the end, but he's able to get the ball out to Brooklander for a 5-yard gain on 1st down. Then we come back. Try to run the power here, stick it up in there, and get right down to the goal line. I thought we'd scored there, but they said we were just short. Come back again and run a little down G kick, and we're able to punch it in. And now I believe it's 21.
You've just taken the lead.
Oh, that 27-21 now, right? 27-21. Come back. They're trying to run speed load. Great job by Nelson feathering this. They don't get us cut on the ground. That's big too. Number 4 didn't get us cut. So even if he had pitched it, I think we had good play there. So we're able to shorten the field. We stop them deep in their territory. They get like a 35-yard punt. So we get the ball on about the 50-yard line, 48-yard line. Great call here. We'd run power out of that formation about 3 different times. We come back and we go outside zone to the one, to the short side, and practice wasn't going to be denied right there. Broke 2 tackles. Great run. Great blocking at the point of attack.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it was beast mode, but I did that call all in one breath because I thought he was down about 4 or 5.
Yelling.
Yeah, I was screaming it. But that's his 4th touchdown. Well, 4 touchdowns on the day, 3 rushing for Lorenzo Pratt. And his day, it wasn't necessarily done, but the defense shows you what they have been able to do here in this game as well, forcing yet another punt. And only 5 first downs in the entire second half for Carson-Newman. And Jordan Shippey and Lorenzo Pratt on this drive were huge as well.
Yeah, well, and I think you got to give some props to the O-line. I thought those guys played really, really well, with the conditions and everything else. And I think their front's good. I think they got a really good front. They're physical. They're big, strong, tough guys. And so I thought our guys really did a nice job of getting guys out of gaps, where if you look at last year, and it's much of the same group for them. Now we've got a few different elements to ours, but it's a lot of the same guys, and shoot, they whooped us bad. Now we couldn't run it a lick, couldn't throw it. It was awful. So to be able to come back and give everything they have as much as we did, that was great. Great run right here by Lorenzo. Great block by Carter Mangle on the edge, on the outside linebacker to spring him, and then he just beats everybody to the outside. We get it down to the 2-yard line. Or 1.5-yard line or so, and we're able to punch this in. I think he sees a little cutback lane right there. I think much better job being patient. Lorenzo early in the year was playing too fast. He was trying to bounce everything, beat everybody with speed. So then they come back. We think we had a pick here. They call pass interference because they said that Bryce didn't make a play on the ball. Kind of a bummer because he really never really touched the guy, but that you do have to make a play on the ball, and if he's saying he did touch him, then that would be a penalty. It was close. He called it. It is what it is. I hate it for Quadre because that was a great play.
Yeah, he was making a play.
Senior made a play. that would have been an awesome way to end his career there. But we come back, 3-man rush right here, drop 8. This is not what they want to do. We just played some easy cover 2. I said keep him in front of them. Nelson gets after him. Devin does a good job rushing, and we were able to get off the field and finish the game. And I think it was a good start to making this game more competitive.
It's a Pioneer football team defensively, had 3 players into double figures in tackles. We talked about that just a little bit. That was Nelson Luis. You had Ivan Hogans with 11. You had Randy Hooks with 10. Some other guys, though, that really stood out. I thought Isaiah Dunn was good as well in run support from that secondary position. Colton Strickland with 3 solo stops. And again, you don't get a lot of stats in games like this because you're supposed to do your job. And if the play comes your way, then it does. Bryce Bartlett had 6 tackles, including 2 behind the line of scrimmage. The defense had 11 tackles for total losses of 34 yards, along with 3 sacks for 15 yards. And a team that doesn't give up sacks, but a team that doesn't really pass the ball either. And they had a 2-play drive that made it a, what was it then, 34 to 28.
Got them within 6.
Yeah, so
got them within 6.
In years past, the last drive, the last scoring drive that you saw there, we wouldn't have been able to accomplish that because it would have been the Mossy Creek, the fear of the creek. Here we come. We're getting ready to take this game over. And you guys had a lot of poise going down.
Well, I don't know anything about that. I mean, maybe that has something to do with that. I'm not sure. I don't talk about that a lot because I honestly don't know that much about the Mossy Creek place or what. I get that you guys do, but I'm worried about the now. I mean, you can't. That's what I told them. I said the ghosts don't play. Last time I checked, the ghost of Carson-Newman, the ghost of Tusculum do not play. the people out there play right there, and we have to live in the moment and how we do things, and that doesn't take any of the respect away from what they've accomplished and who they are, and really the history of the game. I kind of joke about it not being a rivalry, but we can't say it is until we make it one.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to sell my kids on. It's not, I don't want people to take this the wrong way and think I'm disparaging the history of this great game, because it's a close proximity game, but it's just been very one-sided for a long time. And and what we're trying to do is just make it less one-sided. And my kids have to have the mentality and the mindset that we have to play tougher and more physical than them and meet them with the same intensity that we know that they're going to play with. And if you don't, then you're not going to beat those guys. And that's really what it comes down to. And at the end of the day, they made too many mistakes. I mean, they made mistakes in the kicking game, and we caused some of those, which is great on our part. But that's what happens in big games. The team that usually turns the ball over or gets a punt blocked or one of those things, that's the team that usually doesn't win. And that's why you have to really work hard for those things. And that's, taking nothing away from them. I think they did play very, very hard, and they're very talented. And I give them all the respect in the world. We found a way to win on this Saturday, where the week before we turned the ball over and we blew a game that we should have never lost. So I think that's why you have to take each week and just try to be 1-0 in that week and worry about the task at hand, and not worry about all the other stuff that comes with it. Because I think if you do that, sometimes you'll defeat yourself before you even play the game. And I'm never going to be a guy that defeats myself before I even play the game, because if you start thinking about, the ghost of Mossy Creek or whatever all that other stuff is that you're talking about that I don't know about, then that creeps into your head. And, it does for you. It doesn't for me, because I don't know as much about it. You've been around a lot longer, and that makes perfect sense to me. But I think when you're trying to build a program, that's how you have to attack this thing, where don't worry about anything but what's going on right this second. And I think that's how kids nowadays you have to coach them anyway.
I wasn't around in 1919. That was the last time the Pioneers had a double-digit victory, 103-0 that particular year.
Wow.
This year, 41-28. The Pioneers with their first double-digit win. We can go 2001. It was the stop of the two-point conversion where they scored in less than 32 seconds to go down the field. Yes, in just 2 plays. Yes, it was Leonard Guyton just throwing the ball right down the field. And yes, Antoine Carter was stopped at the goal line for the two-point conversion. That win. 2003, the Larry Hollins defensive return for a score. In 2008, it was Jeremy Thompson with the pickup from 50 yards and score after the Justin Scott hit. Oh, and by the way, we blocked a point at the end of the game, because they went down the field in about 3 plays just throwing the ball to score a touchdown for the potential tying game. And then the picture that will live in infamy in Pioneer football lore, the Jordan Shippey reaching the ball across the goal line for the two-point conversion. This year, just Lorenzo Pratt. Maybe we just have a picture of that joker, and we're going to have a lot of good memories for the double-digit victory against the Carson-Newman Eagles. So the fact that I can remember them all on one hand in the modern era proves what this guy's trying to say. We need a few more wins in this series against the Eagles. But it was one that we'll relish for this year and move forward and turn the page, and we'll go to Lexington, Virginia this Saturday. We'll talk about that when we return after this. This is the Pioneer Football Show on the Pioneer Sports Network.
Family.
Food's here!
What's it mean to you?
We got lunch.
To us, it means the people you care about, look out for, and yeah, love. Even if you'd never let them hear you say it.
You're eating hummus?
What's wrong with hummus?
Here at Ingalls, we have everything you need to gather around the table and give each other a hard time. Because that's what families do. Ingalls. All the ingredients for family. So much of life these days is rushing around from one place to another. Sometimes you just want to enjoy the journey on the way to the destination. And part of what makes it a little more enjoyable is an appreciation for the folks who help you get there. At Ingalls, we know that the people who send you on your way are the same ones who keep you coming back.
I think you should take it for a spin. Are you serious?
Ingalls. All the ingredients for family.
Tusculum knocks off Carson-Newman this past Saturday, 41-28. And again, that's 2 out of the last 3 years for Coach Jerry Odom. We do turn the page. We turn our attention to the Virginia Military Institute. This is the Keydets out of the Southern Conference, and the Pioneers will travel up there. It's a good team. It's a good offense, and it's an offense to be very wary of.
Yeah, they're going to throw it, man. Their screen game's outstanding. Don't run the ball a lot. Don't really try. I mean, now they may try against us because they think we're going to be smaller than them because they got a big offensive line. But the quarterback's very, very accurate. Can't pronounce his name. It's number 2. Yuda Biskor, I don't know. I can't pronounce his name. That guy. He's really good, though. Good player. Drop back guy, very accurate. They got 2 really good receivers. 1 and number 7. 7's kind of their deep ball guy, post, goes, bench routes. And then 1 is the guy that if he's got to have a go-to, that's kind of his guy. And he's 60 catches already this year. They've thrown the ball over almost 500 times, or maybe a little over 500. So they're going to throw it between 45 and 55 times a game. What we've got to be able to do is still stop the run, but then not give up big plays in the passing game. We're going to have to do some different things up front, back in, a little bit of everything. It'll be interesting. I think our kids are excited. It's a game that, I told them yesterday, I said, for every, 1AA coach that said you couldn't play, or you couldn't play for them, this game's for that. That's what it's about. This game is for that. And you got to take it like that. That's how you got to, that's how you got to roll. You got to go in there and you're trying to prove everybody wrong because nobody gives you a chance to win. I know they hadn't won any games, but we're just a little D2 team. They're a big 1AA team with 60 some odd scholarships and they've got all the tradition, the big stadium and everything else. So we'll be the underdog going in there. I like that, and our guys have to have that mentality. But, we're going to go up to Lexington and give it our best. You're looking at them on defense, they're a 3-3, but it's really the Air Force kind of concept 3-3. It looks like they're playing a lot of Robert coverage, which I'm pretty familiar with. They're trying to it's almost like they're trying to play 3-3, which is usually an 8-man front that you can create, but they're trying to create a 9 with Robert coverage as a safety, as the extra A to B gap player. Now they're not bringing it as much. They blitz a lot or they rush 3, and then they'll create a 4-man front. So we're familiar with some of that stuff. It's just whether we're going to be able to handle it up front. You know how that goes. Mm-hmm. Something new, something a little bit different, and they drop 8 a lot. So throwing the ball, you'll have to be right. It'll have to be at a premium. But we'll have to go up and play with everything we got and hopefully play well in the kicking game and everything else. But it'll be a great experience for our kids. Beautiful place, a lot of history, a lot of tradition up there. And, we'll go up there and give it our best and try to come out with a dub.
It's not a Division II game, but this past weekend, a lot of things happened in this particular region and things that were kind of unexpected. Yep. Yes, the Pioneers are an outside shot to at least clinch a share of the South Atlantic Conference. They'll already have to lose in their final 2 conference games of the year, and that will be against Carson-Newman and Catawba. But then this past weekend happened. It may have slightly left the door ajar for a potential playoff berth.
I think the door could be ajar because it could come down to we got to take care of our business, obviously, but Wingate now has moved into the 8th or 9th spot, and we play them next week. So if we can find a way to win out, never know. Right. Never know, because I pray that the Pembroke game didn't come back to bite us. Right. Because there's nothing we can do about a natural disaster. We tried to play them on Sunday, Monday, just couldn't work it out because the governor of North Carolina wouldn't let a state school travel. I mean, that's really what it came down to. But I'm not throwing them under the bus saying we'd have whooped them or anything like that. But not getting to play that game could come back to bite us. But hey, if there's still just an inkling that we got a shot, then we're gonna go for it with everything we got, man. We're gonna go for it with everything we got because these kids deserve that. After that minute 41 of craziness 2 weeks ago at Catawba, or a week and a half or whatever at Catawba, if we can find a way to come back and slide in the playoffs, it might be interesting. It might end up playing Valdosta State, which that'd be fun because I know those guys. So that'd be fun. They're really good. I mean, they're really, really good. But I know those guys pretty good. So you never know. If we slid in there, that'd be a lot of fun to hopefully have a chance to go in and have a chance to go somewhere and compete, man, because our kids have worked so hard, and I'd hate for, you know, one game, 1 minute and 41 seconds to to ruin the season for them. But we're still in it. We're going to keep fighting to the very end.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pioneers knocked off Carson-Newman this past week. Look to do that against Virginia Military Institute this coming Saturday. You can join us for coverage on the Pioneer Sports Network, 95.5 FM, AM 1450 around the world through TusculumPioneers.com. Our coverage begins at 12:30. We'll kick off at 1:30. For Coach Jerry Odom, for all those involved with the Pioneer Sports Network, Dom Donnelly, Nick Forsberg, and Jim Miller, I'm Brian Staten. And until next week, go Pioneers.
The Pioneer Football Show with head coach Jerry Odom. Complete coverage of Pioneer football. 2020 hindsight with coaches and player interviews, along with the numbers behind the scoreboard. The Pioneer Football Show with Jerry Odom. A presentation of Tusculum University Athletics.